Hello, my name is Trydar. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build an acorn treehouse in Minecraft. Let's get started. So firstly, let's take a good look and see what exactly is an acorn treehouse. So as you can see here, we have a tree trunk. And on top of that, we of course have an acorn. So that's why I'm calling it the acorn treehouse. As you can see here, of course, to access your treehouse, I have added a spiral ramp out of wood that goes all the way up. Indeed, the entire structure is made out of wood. And some leaf blocks and some other things here and there. So it's quite flammable. So make sure you have fire tech off in your world if you do want to build one of these. Let's take a closer look here. So we can see we have a little lantern hanging down. This is meant to be sort of like a little enchanted bee's nest, but it's also a light source as well. So I have just one of these as an accent hanging down from your porch here, where of course you can land here with your elytra later on when you get one of those. Or conversely, you can just go up and down the spiral ramp around your tree trunk, like so here to access your house. Of course, it is kind of a tall house, so you can see it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get up and down the ramp, like so. But it does look really nice from a distance, I think, especially with the corkscrew ramp and everything going around it. Everything here is, of course, nice and organic. We don't really have any straight lines in this building here. We do also have a few little mushrooms growing off the side of our tree, though. Little accent details as well. And of course, on the top, we do have some leaf blocks just hanging down here and there, just draped over the build as just a little accent piece. Let's land and go inside of our little acorn house. So as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of room inside of our acorn, but it's pretty good for a starter-sized house, I would think. We have a nice little rib ceiling up there and everything. We've got one window. And of course, the floor here is you have orange stained glass, and below that we have a layer of honey. And below that we have some glowstone to light the whole thing up. It's sort of like you're walking on an amber floor, as it were. And of course, the window, this is orange stained glass too. I bet you I never thought you'd be using orange stained glass on a build, but here we are. So yeah, this is going to be the Type 1 Acorn House, depending on, if people like the build. I do have a couple of other Acorn houses I'm going to be building for like an entire Acorn city. But we'll see how this video does if I make videos on those. But they're just bigger versions of this, really. They'll have the ramp, and they just have bigger and bigger acorns and everything for those, and more lights hanging down and everything. So it's just variations on a theme, as it were. So if you want to build one of these acorn houses, you're going to need the following list of materials: 285 oak planks, 40 oak tree trunks, 715 oak bark blocks. It's the ones with the bark on all the sides. 132 oak leaves, 1 block of honeycomb, 2 oak doors, 20 oak fences, 36 glowstone, 42 orange stained glass blocks, and 8 orange stained glass panes. 12 shroom lights, 136 oak slabs, 37 blocks of black terracotta, and 32 honey blocks for the floor and everything. So it's not too bad, all things considered. The hardest part, I think, will be getting all of the oak bark blocks and everything. Of course, most of those we're going to be using in our tree trunk as well. I would give dimensions for the overall building, except it being organic shape, it'll fit inside this box down here, which is 15 by 19, and it's going to be 38 blocks tall in total. So yeah, it's a pretty good size house, I think. So if you do want to build one, we will now do the tutorial if you're just here for the download. Of course, that is available in the video description for both Java and Bedrock versions. But if you want to build the rest of the tree and everything, we will do that now. So to get ourselves started off, let's start back here with our little entrance landing. So as you can see, we want to start. We'll start over here. We'll go 3 blocks and then place down 3 oak slabs, and then 2 here, and then 2 back this way. Then behind that, we want to place down this pattern here. Let me just show you that from the top down. This pattern here of oak bark blocks. And I think the texture is probably high contrast enough for you to be able to see those, but I'm going to go around and mark out the edge here by placing some red carpet just right on top of the outer edges here to make it as apparent as I can. Like so. Of course, being a tree and an organic shape, we are going to have a lot of twisty-turny blocks in this that we do need to build. Like so there. Maybe that'll make it a little bit more apparent. Some of this filler blocks you can probably get away with not using. Save yourself some of the material cost of the building by leaving the bit of the base hollow where we can. But with that said, let's go on to the next phase. I'll show you that from the top here. And now let's go down to the bottom. So of course, as usual, we're going to be 3D printing the thing 1 block layer at a time, all the way up until we get through all 38 blocks to the top. So we've got another, 37 phases to go. And so here, let me just, I'll try and start at the back here at this point. And sort of follow the corkscrew ramp up as we go. And I'll swing around here. Some of these blocks are just placing directly on top of the previous ones. But that's not always the case. And just to make it extra apparent on the outer edges here, especially for this stuff down here at the bottom, I'm going to place carpet on top of the pre-placed block. All you have to do is place the block that's immediately below this. I'm just adding the carpet here to make it really, really apparent what the shape is for the tree and everything. All right, let's go on to the next phase here. It's probably the biggest organic shape I've tried to do. Like this. Usually a lot of what I do has a lot of straight walls in it, so it's easier to see, but sometimes it's harder. So we'll start here. You can see we have more oak slabs just behind the bark blocks there. And then, of course, because our roots splay out at the bottom, we have a decreasing number of wood blocks that we have to use. As we head up the tree, some of the middle phases will go just a little bit quicker. Let me go ahead and place the carpet here on all the blocks that are going to be visible, like so. And we'll go on to the next one. All right, so we have our slabs here. And I'll mark out the outer edges with the carpet. Like so. And we'll move on to the next phase. Of course, do feel free to slow down the video, play back, or just hit pause or whatever, as you need to, as we go through the phases and everything. I don't expect anybody to be building this in real time, as it were. Like so there. And the next phase here, where we have our first little disc mushroom tied into the body of our tree. Let's start right here. And I'm only going to place the carpet on the wood. I'm not going to place it on the disc mushroom. As you can see here, it's just one of these little mushrooms that's growing out of the side of the tree. Of course, I have just a little bit of glowstone here in the middle to add just extra color. The shroom light is probably good enough. if you want to, you could just substitute this block of glowstone. Like, I think there's 2 blocks of glowstone like this. You could just put more shroom light here if you wanted to instead. And then around that, we want to put the black terracotta. We want to have a nice dark mushroom color to complement our oak. All right, over here. Next phase. Like so, and then just cap the mushroom off here with, was that 7 blocks of black terracotta. Or stained clay. I don't remember. I think it's called terracotta now. I think the old name is stained clay. All right, let's keep spiraling up the ramp. Use that as our starting point. So you want to place your slabs. And then, of course, we want to place our wood blocks. Like so. And then we'll move on here. Again, where we're getting to the point where there aren't really many internal wood blocks. They're all going to be on the outside. Here we have another disc mushroom we're going to be building. Right there. It's the same design as the other ones. It's just a little bit higher up. All right, next phase here. We're getting to the point where placing the carpet isn't going to help you very much. But there's the outline of that, and then just cap the mushroom off here. What is that? Eight more blocks of black terracotta. And over here, next phase. Like so. All right, next phase here. There's still little wood blocks now that there's no value in using the carpet anymore, I don't think. So I'll just give you a good look at it. All you need to do is pause and replicate what you see on your screen. We do have a little bit of disc mushroom here that's sort of got sandwiched inside the tree. You may want to break that block there to let it show a little bit more. Because I built the disc mushrooms before I built the ramp, so that bit of the ramp kind of clipped into that mushroom. All right, next phase here, and this one here. All right. Next phase here, continuing our twisty-turny ramp going all the way up the tree. Next phase. Of course, you should be placing your oak slabs first, and then use that as a guide to place the other bark blocks. All right. Next phase here. And then from this point here, you want to count 1 over, and then 2 more that way for a total of 3, and then place your first leaf block. Like so. These are those little leaf blocks hanging down right there. All right. Slabs and oak bark blocks like so. Skip a space right there for this. And then you can use your previous leaf block to place 2 more right there. And then count out and over from that, 2, and then 1, 2 again. And then that'll give you the first place to place your first orange stained glass pane, and then a block, and then put 3 panes on the side of it, like so right there. Of course, this is our little amber lantern hanging down from our tree. If you want to, you can add more than just the one that I have, by the way. But since this is the smallest acorn design, I'll add one. All right, here's the next pattern. And over here we have just a little branch hanging out to help support our giant acorn. And then just 2 more leaf blocks on top of those there. And over here you want to place on top of your orange full block, you want to place a block of glowstone and then 4 full blocks of orange stained glass around that. Like so. All right, next phase. Continuing our ramp again, still. These oak blocks here, of course, these is the very bottom of our acorn house. And then we have some blocks over here and over here. And a couple of leaves. And then on top of this, we want to place our honeycomb block. And then 4 more orange stained glass panes. Of course, if you want to be a little extra decorative, you could perhaps put a full bee's nest, maybe here, or maybe perhaps you might want to put a bee's nest, just maybe somewhere in your tree. Give your tree a little bit extra life with the bees going up and down. I don't know if that's going to be too far away from the ground. I'm not really sure how good bees are at pathfinding back to their nest. You might want to put that lower down. Now that I think of that. But I didn't want to overcomplicate the design too much, so I didn't add that. I just want to mention it here. So a bit of ramp here as well. And then we want to place these oak blocks here. For our acorn, like so. And then we want to come out over here and just go 2 blocks over and place a leaf block. And then out here we just have an oak fence. And a couple of leaf blocks here. All right, next phase, let's start back over here at the ramp. Just like so. On the interior, we can see that we're placing that glowstone I talked about to help illuminate our amber floor. Like so. And then out over here, we want some leaf blocks. Another oak fence there. And then 2 more leaf blocks here. I thought about maybe using a chain for this. But all the rest of the build is already wood. It doesn't have any metal in it. So I thought using metal parts didn't really work for an acorn treehouse. So I left that out and just made it a fence instead of a chain. Over here we've got a bit more of the ramp. And then behind that we have our honey blocks. Like so. I know they look a little strange. These are actually retextured slime blocks, so textured up to look like honey. But it'll look better when it's a full honey floor, I think. And then around that, you just want to place the wood full blocks, the planks, and then there's 1 oak slab right here. Then, of course, the leaf blocks, another fence, and some more leaf blocks over here. All right, next phase here, a little complicated. Let's start back over here at our ramp. Almost done with the ramp. Right here. And then behind that, we want to place this pattern of full blocks and half slabs. Let me just show you that from the top down, the whole thing. And let's take a look underneath here, because some of these are full blocks and some of them are half slabs. This is just a little branching feature decoration underneath our porch that we're just going to be putting in the next slice. And then just a couple of leaf blocks here and there. And that will be good enough. All right, next phase, we're building our porch, like I said. Just like so. And then we just have just outline the porch for you with this, and you just need to fill it straight in with the bark blocks, like so here. And then for our house, let's start at the outside. Now, instead of the plank for the acorn, if you want to, you can, if you want to, use the stripped oak logs for this instead. It might look nice. It'll look different. It'll look a little bit more smooth than the textured planks. But I wanted to mention that as an aside. If you want to, maybe if you want to build more than one of these and you want to make them look a little bit different, that's something you can do. But I just wanted to point out, you're always free to change materials. I mean, you don't have to use the oak. You can build like one out of spruce and another one out of dark oak and whatever. Whichever is your favorite type of wood, perhaps the new mahogany wood from the swamps might look quite interesting. Or the acorn. Of course, here, as in the last phase, I don't know if I mentioned that, you just need to place your orange glass directly on top of the honey. All right, next phase here. So we're done building the tree, the corkscrew ramp and everything, and the porch. We just want to put on some oak guardrails right here. Like so. A couple of leaf blocks, and of course keep building up our acorn behind that. A couple of blocks of orange stained glass here. More leaves. And more planks and everything. One fence right there. And then, of course, your doors. Right there if you want to. Let's take a look on the inside. As well. Pretty decent amount of space, I think. It would be good to put someplace in your world if you just want to have an outpost somewhere. Be really good for that. Let's start over here at the doors now. Like so. You can add your doors. And then now we're just building up the body of the acorn, and here and there we are placing some more leaf blocks that are hanging down, just draped over the top of the acorn for decoration. And of course, with the shaders and everything, they're moving around in the breeze and everything. But I don't think that's going to be too confusing for you to put in. So let's take a look at the interior now. We have a one block overhanging right here. The acorn isn't perfectly symmetrical. It being an organic shape, it does have bits and pieces where it's, they're not all the same from side to side. Now, so here over our main little doorway, of course, we have just a little semicircular archway made out of wood to get into our acorn. Just like so. Of course, I've just added the one window at the back. If you want to, you can, of course, add more windows. Just like this pattern here, if you want to make more windows, you can poke them in the in this side over here as well. Want to try and modify your acorn. And just one little free-floating leaf block there. And let's take a look inside real quick. Like so, and we're on to the next phase. We're in the home stretch now, just a few phases left to go. So here over the doorway, we're of course putting the cap on our acorn, so it has to be a different material. So it's going to be the oak bark blocks again, with leaves here and there, just garnished on the outside. Take a look at the interior in a minute. just like so. And here is the interior design. I'll show you that from the top down. And let's take a look at it directly. All right, next phase. More of the acorn cap and more leaf blocks and everything. We are now building our little arched ceiling. With some oak plank ribbing and everything. Of course, other and bigger versions of the Acorn do have more than one room. They have multiple rooms in them. They get quite big towards the end. I haven't finished all of them. I've only finished the first couple. But I wanted to go ahead and get this one out. I've been meaning to publish these for quite some time. Let me, it's the best way to get a view. So start here at the door. And just look at it from the top here. All right, next phase. More of our acorn cap now. Let's take a look at this all the way around. And then we'll land and take a look at the interior here. Like so. And then here from the top down. And we just have one block of glowstone at the top here to give us just a little bit more of accented illumination at the top. And there should be all the glowstone and glass and everything. All we're doing from here on out is I think we're just putting down wood and leaves. So on top of that, we want to just pretty much put down a straight sheet of oak bark blocks. I'll outline these here just so we can get the count correctly. And like so there on top. And then just continue draping your leaf blocks over the side like so. And then of course that finishes the interior of our acorn. And we can go on to this almost last phase here. So we can see at the top here, we want to put just this little nub on the top of the acorn. You can imagine, where it was attached to some giant oak tree before, like, all good acorns have. And then I'll just show you this from the top down, be the easiest thing probably. Then just put all your leaf blocks arranged like so. And I think that that is actually going to be the last of the leaf blocks for this particular build. And then over here, you just want to put, on top of this, we want to put 6 blocks here. I think they're directly on top of the 4 right there. And then on top of that, we want to put 4 here and then 3 hanging off the side, like so. And then after that, at the end, 4 more oak planks there at the top to complete the little nub on the top of our acorn. And once you have done that, your acorn treehouse will be complete. So I hope you have enjoyed the tutorial for the acorn treehouse, suitable for any respectable wood elf to live in. And do remember, the world download is available in the video description for both Java and Bedrock versions. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.